Oh, the madness. It's absolutely a maddening time, isn't it? And then you have personal things that pop up that require a whole bunch of time, a whole bunch of dedication, a whole bunch of fixing. You know, God forbid you get scammed by somebody, which just happened to us. And though we caught it and didn't actually lose anything in the scam, we've lost a lot of time fixing the potential problems. So I would argue this. Well, I would advise this. When dealing with any kind of financial institution, a credit card or a bank or anything, when they call you, don't assume it's them. Don't assume it. Assume it's not them, and you'll get back to them. And then do it yourself. Reach out yourself. Because technology is such that people can clone phone numbers, and there have been a whole bunch of data breaches, huge data breaches that have allowed just enough of your information out into the world that the wrong actors can piece together just enough to really come across as credible when in fact they're not. So be super, super, super careful out there. That's just advice from an old man. Hey, let's talk about advice from Grandpa. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter show today, but this is Trent Takes On 2.0. I'm the Trent from the title of the show. I have an appointment coming up here very shortly with good neighbor George. We're going to record last week's episode of No Plan, No Problem, and then in a few days we're going to record next week's episode of No Plan. Basically, we just got out of whack, and we've had to dial in a sit-down meeting time, but No Plan, No Problem is continuing. We've just got to, anytime you're working with a partner, you got to figure out a good schedule. That's the weird part. And when you're doing a podcast without a plan to it, it's in the name. These things will happen. As for Trent Takes On, I got wrapped up in some stuff last week that you've got to, you just got to deal with. And it stole the free time away from me that I had set aside to record last week's episode. So I'm going to record a few episodes this week. I think I'm going to do 3 different ones, but they'll be significantly shorter, maybe in the 20-minute range. So this would be the first of them. And I don't want to talk about racist outbursts from the White House. I don't want to talk about the horrors that the Supreme Court of the United States is inflicting on all of us. I want to take a moment to mention somebody that I've mentioned many, many times. Somebody that, like my kids, who this show is really for, never actually, my oldest did meet him when she was, I think 7 or 8. My grandfather, who is the closest thing, I don't know, the second closest thing to a dad I ever had. My Uncle Larry, who is still alive, who I love dearly. I would consider a real father figure in my life. But as far as the wisdom of the family goes, it always seemed to come from the patriarch, my grandpa. He was just a stand-up dude. I would argue that he was fiscally conservative, probably socially conservative too, when you consider he grew up during the Dust Bowl era of the Great Plains, in the 30s. Served in World War II. Worked in the oil refining business for 40 odd years, and then retired. Really enjoyed his retirement. I got to try and spend a lot of time with him. I don't know if I would get along with him today, to be honest. I think that a smart guy, he would have probably listened to my arguments about what it means to be a member of society and what our duty is, not just to each other, but to future generations. I think he would listen to that argument and probably be amenable to it, I think. But he was able to give me some wisdom along the way, and I just wanted to share one specific piece with the peeps out there about taking a day for yourself. taking time for yourself, making sure that you're right. I had a discussion with a friend about mental health days. And do you allow your kids to have mental health days? Because it's like we've done it once, and do we want to do it again? I don't know. I don't want to set the the precedent for whenever we need a mental health day, we take one. But at the same time, I feel like we probably didn't take enough mental health days when we were young. Like, I never got one. I didn't miss a single day of school until junior high school, when I missed half a day because my mom took me out of school because our pipes were frozen and we had to deal with it. And we had, I believe the grand total of the amount of money we had to spend to solve this problem was about $30. And this was like 1988, 89. We had about $30 to solve this problem of frozen pipes, which meant getting a space heater for about one of those really like old school with the springs in it and the little fan. And me crawling underneath a house and plugging it in and aiming it directly at the pipes and running it until we got the pipes thawed, and then wrapping the pipes with insulation, which was like old towels and blankets to keep them from freezing. Yeah, I did that. I did that. But I never took mental health days. And I think that in some ways, I never got used to admitting I was busted. I never got used to admitting when I was ill or not feeling it or incapable of performing at my max. So I basically toughed it out all the time. I thought that was what you did. But I never really put two and two together on a piece of advice that Grandpa gave me back in the day. And the advice went like this. The worst thing you can do for someone in quicksand is to get in there with them. And maybe I'd never heard the phrase before. No, I still haven't heard it from anybody else. This seems like a kind of a unique to my grandfather piece of wisdom. I've repeated it many times over the years because for me it's two things. It serves two pieces of advice. It's about when someone else is struggling. If someone else is struggling, it's hard to help them if you're struggling too. So basically it's you need to be right before you help anyone else. And that really does, I mean, that's important. When the blind lead the blind, you end up in traffic, I guess, because you can't, you need to solve those deficiencies before you help someone solve them in their lives. And I think the other thing that it does is it's about you getting you right. You know, not necessarily about helping someone else, but being prepared to. And in being prepared to, it's like a stay ready piece of advice, you know, that keep yourself in order, keep your mind straight. I think those two things are what I take out of that phrase. The worst thing you can do for someone in quicksand is to get in there with them. Get in there yourself. I also think it says something about the proximity of, true danger you should put yourself in to help others. But that may be a little bit selfish. You know, if somebody's in really, really bad danger, do you jump in there with them? You know, probably not. I don't know. There's a little self-preservation note in there too. But the way he explained it was, you got to be in the right place before you can help anybody else. It was a piece of advice that he gave me when I was about to get my first divorce. I had separated from my wife, and I was desperate to be there for my child, but at the same time, the relationship and the extended relationship with my now ex-wife's family was so bad, so toxic that, it prohibited me from being even moderately worth a damn. It really affected me. And so the best thing I could do was remove myself from that situation and attempt to solve it from a distance. And that didn't happen. I was unable to solve it, and I was unable to be there for my oldest child because they moved her away from us. And I wasn't exactly making any money. I've never made money. I've been able to survive, but that's about it. There's not a lot of thriving that happens in my life. This is the closest I've ever come to it now that I'm in a partnership with a really talented person, and I get to take care of the world around her, and she makes money, and that's great. And we're a hell of a team. And I think that that's something that I've always looked forward to being a part of, being a part of a really strong team. And that's what I have now, and I couldn't be happier for it. But my grandfather was full of all kinds of wisdoms. I think that he always had an eye toward the future, and his feeling was always, you need to get a good education, and education doesn't always come from institutions. That sometimes education comes from what you do for yourself, that you continue to learn and you continue to expand your horizons, and you have this, he didn't know the phrase at the time, but growth mindset. You were always searching to improve yourself. He thought that was part of education. And if you're not striving to be better, well, then you're falling behind. And I mean, I wasn't aware that I had a growth mindset. I just knew that if I was going to do things, I wanted to do them right. I wanted to do them well. No matter what job I had, what industry I was working in, I always wanted to learn more about it, learn more about how I could do it better, start developing my own processes. Processes. I need to work on my English. My own way of doing things to make things better, to improve my productivity and efficiency. I always thought I wanted to work smarter, not harder. That was something that I just do that every day, because you're not going to be able to work hard forever. You're going to break down. I did a lot of damage to my body when I was in my 20s. I took a lot of unnecessary risks and put myself into bad positions physically. And now that I'm 50, I'm trying to rebuild. I actually started the process a few years ago, but I'm trying to get my body back into some sort of healthy shape. And it's going okay. Sure. I feel better. I quit smoking. I don't drink a whole lot. I'm eating better. Not eating great, eating better. Lots of fruits and vegetables. That's good. Nuts are good. Like the mixed nuts. I've developed a newfound appreciation for Brazil nuts. It's just weird. It's not even a nut. It's actually a seed. I learned that from watching Friends. I'm trying, I'm always trying to be a better version of myself. And I'm not trying to be a better version of myself always for me. I'm also trying to be a better version of myself for my children and for my friends and for the people who might need me. I'm trying to be a good ally in a fight against the rising tide of fascism and racism in this country. It's always been there. It's just emboldened now. And it's a dangerous time. And though it, I don't want to get into that today. I want to be more upbeat, more positive. Every day offers us new opportunities. Maybe it's just read about a couple of things, learn about a few things. that's good for you. It's good for your mind. It keeps you agile. It keeps you a little edgy, if you will. But it's a sign that you're always looking to improve. Sometimes it's, people do jigsaw puzzles or crossword puzzles or Sudokus or whatever it is to keep your mind sharp. A little problem solving is really good for you. And it really, really is. And it's something that we get away from as we go through our productive year, quote unquote productive years, where we're working really hard and saving towards retirement or towards your golden era. But you're taking that time. You need to take some time every once in a while to keep your mind sharp. And that includes problem solving. Hopefully you have a job that does that for you. Maybe you don't. If you don't, crosswords, Sudokus, jigsaw puzzles, you name it. Those are good for your brain. So take some time for you. Be ready. And have a growth mindset. This is one of those things that we try to teach our kids every day. That the best version of you is not just a version that you're proud of, but a version of you that you can share. You can ask 1,000 people, what is the point of life? What is the meaning of life? What are we here for? And you will get almost 1,000 different answers. I would imagine that you'll get some double up. But I can tell you this. I don't know. I don't think that I'm meant to know. But I know that I feel best when I'm making this world, whatever there is in it, a little bit better for somebody else. And you don't have to spend your entire life in service to everybody, and always put yourself last. You don't have to do that at all. No. But remembering that we're all in this together. I say this at the end of every podcast. Be good humans. And I consider being a good human being mindful that we are all in this together. And following the old golden rule that they taught us in Bible school when I went going to Baptist churches on every Sunday when I was a kid, that you do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Basically, it was just treat other people the way you want to be treated. If everybody kind of followed that one, and that's kind of a universal rule. I mean, I've heard that in all kinds of different faiths, all kinds of different cultures. Be kind. It really is what makes us special. The ability to do for other people, and work together. Sometimes these things we forget because we get really bogged down in survival, because we get really bogged down by the things we perceive that are important that aren't necessarily. Sometimes we get bogged down by things that are really important, and you have to get bogged down in them because you have to solve them. And maybe that's, covering your butt after an attempted scam that falls, and you have a whole lot of institutions to reach out to and 4,000 passwords to change and a whole bunch of new, getting new email addresses and attaching those and so on and so forth. It's a lot of work, but it's work that you have to do. You can't avoid. And that can bog you down. But even in those moments, even in the aftermath of, in being upset that this has happened to you and that you've had to put a whole bunch of work into trying to fix it all, that's your data got out there into the world and somebody tried to use that against you. And now you have to do a bunch of erasing, and it's a lot of hard work. Even going through that, the people that have helped us along the way, I try to be as kind as possible and as upbeat as possible. And I try not to get down, and I try not to get upset, and I try to stay positive through it all because, we're the ones in quicksand for the minute. But these people are ready to help us out. And they've done an amazing job. And we really do appreciate that. And that's one of the other things, the other parts of it. You know, you can be a good person for yourself and you can be a good person for other people. And once again, we're not invulnerable. Okay. Sometimes we need help. And if you need help and you reach out for help, and there are those that are willing to give it to you, there are those who are willing to reach out their hand and say, all right, I'll help you. I'll do the best I can. To be appreciative of that is part of it's part of the contract that we sign with society. You don't realize you signed it, but you did. You just click the accept terms box. We have to be thankful. We have to be grateful. We have to be appreciative. And we also have to remember that we're vulnerable sometimes too. And that other people can be kind. So you put it out into the world and it'll come back to you. I think that's what I'm saying, you know? So to make a long story short, I loved my grandfather and I paid spectacularly close attention to all these little nuggets of wisdom that he was constantly throwing around like bird seed in the park. And it made me a better person just for listening and taking it to heart. I hope there's somebody like that in everybody's life, because it's a tremendous feeling to know that you're carrying, that you can pick up wisdom from somebody, from one of your elders, carry it with you, and then disperse it to a next generation. And that there's something important in there that they can take away. That's really something special. So that's going to do it for me today. I'm going to be back later this week, probably Wednesday, definitely Thursday. I'll do Thursday and then I'll either do Wednesday or Friday. I don't know how it's going to work out yet, but I want to do 3 of these little like 20, 25 minute episodes. And hopefully that'll be different. I'm sure next time out, I'm going to talk about some mindless nonsense that is going on in the world of politics for those who love that kind of thing. We all need to get our heads examined for this. But I certainly appreciate all of you being with me on this journey. As always, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please share this with a friend. And I'll be back before you know it. Till next time, be good humans. It's the least we can do. Love you.